All right, guys. Welcome to yet another Storytellers Happy Hour. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm here with Ruben Teehee Hazlett and Alicia Delory, and we are here to tell you wild expletive stories that we are about to make up on the fly, and we're probably going to tell a whole lot of bullshit as well beyond the story because we're in the same MFA program, and so anyone who's ever been in an MFA program or any kind of program like that, you are fully aware that there's a lot of BS that goes on. It's part of what makes you good at bullshitting, storytelling. So with that, I am going to pass this off to Ruben, who's going to explain what is about to go down, and then actually we're going to pick up our conversation from before we went live about food going bad. So
yes, yeah.
Teehee, take it, man.
I totally had like a warm up prompt, but like because we were talking about food going bad, like that is now the warm up prompt. But so we usually have prompts from the Moth. And shout out to Jenny for buying this for me. The Moth is that like live storytelling show that happens in New York or whatever. But they have these decks of cards that have different kinds of prompts on them. And full disclosure, it's been like a shit show of a month for me. So before the call, I went through and any of the prompts that triggered me, I removed from.
Oh, that's all good. It's all good.
What for my own mental health.
Yeah.
We could have just gone through this never knowing, and like the integrity of sharing that with us, like I respect it.
Well, agreed. Yeah.
It's been rough. It's been rough. But yeah, so I pulled one and I thought it was kind of fun though, which is boundaries.
But tell them what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we pull the prompt and then we each have like, because this is on the fly, so we just pulled it, and we all will think about a story about boundaries. And then we will take turns telling our story. But first, we're going to do the warm-up story of everyone has a story about rotten food. And Alicia was right in the middle of it.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, this was more of a commentary after our discussion on food. But, like, from childhood all the way up until, I would say, at least midway through my college years, I remember, like, leaving pizza out on the counter, like the leftover pizza, just sitting in the box, and just eating that shit, like, throughout the week. I remember vividly in college, we would order, the place was called Sammy's, this was in Ithaca, we would get like a big chicken and broccoli pizza of all things, and then put it on our dresser because like it didn't fit in the mini fridge. And like we would just be passing through like and grab a slice throughout the week. Like how didn't we die? I don't understand. Like I would never do that now. If I accidentally leave pizza out now, I throw it away. But I was older than I would like to admit when I found out that you're supposed to, and like my brain should have connected the dots, right? It's cheese. I would never just eat counter cheese. It's meat. I wouldn't just leave meat sitting out and like eat it. And somehow I thought this meat cheese concoction on top of wet bread sitting out in the open with no refrigeration for days on end was perfectly good eating. Just I don't know how we did it. And I don't know how I enjoyed it like for days. Days.
Okay.
Well, wait, part of the pizza tribe of leaving it out for days, and it used to be fine.
Now wait.
You wouldn't get bugs. And
now was this one of those like you saw you were totally fine, and then like 6-7 days into it, you're like, man, why do I have to keep going to the bathroom? And you never like connected the dots? Or
so on both sides of my family, the gastrointestinal issues, like you name it, we've got it. Like there's like colitis on my dad's side, spastic colons. You got like IBS on my mom's side, and then So like I'm that mishmash of stuff, but then I also have anxiety that can manifest in like anxious poopies. So it's possible. It's just it would have been hard for me to notice
Like
because
yeah, okay.
it would have been like I would have just thought it was business as usual. Like, you know those shows like I didn't know I was pregnant and they're like, well, I was still getting my period. It's like, well, I was still shitting my brains out, so like, I thought it was fine.
Just like normal. Okay.
My rotten food story takes place in Brooklyn when I was living in Brooklyn. And I found this really nice apartment in Crown Heights. It was a 2-bedroom, and I could only afford it with a roommate. So I was like, okay, fine. Like I went on these different Facebook groups. I found a roommate, this girl, Hannah, who really loved to bake. And I guess what you should know about me is I have like the complete college freshman refrigerator, which is all condiments.
You had.
And still to this day.
Oh,
All
really?
condiments, beer, and eggs. And like, will I eat those eggs? If I get around to them, and if not, I'll just throw them away. Because I used to also think that eggs didn't go bad because I would cook eggs so often, I never left them in there for a long time.
Oh,
So because like I'm a dumb bachelor and I don't know how to take care of myself, like I don't have actual food around. So Hannah moves in and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bake some cookies." And I was also my friends were encouraging me to step into this like host people in your home kind of thing because I'm also a very like I do not have people over at my house. Like my house is my backstage area. It's where I get to like de-stress and chill.
Are you an ambivert? Ambivert?
Yes, I believe
Because
so.
whenever I would walk through campus with you, we couldn't get 10 steps without him running into someone or like stopping to chat. And I was like, who don't you know? But that makes sense now. Like it drained you by the time you got home.
Exactly. My house is normally it's very quiet, it's very serene, and like, and no one is here. It's a big thing. It gives me anxiety. So I was finally like, okay. So Hannah moves in. She's like, I'm gonna bake some cookies. You should invite some friends over. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, no, I want to meet your friends. And I'm like, they are telling me that I should have people come over. So I bite the bullet, and like I am just super fucking weird and nervous with like, there's a new person in my house, and my friends are in my house. And like, I don't know. It's awkward. And so Hannah's like, oh, the cookies are done. And so I'm like, cookies. Because I'm anxious. I think I had like 3 or 4, and everybody else only had 1. And despite that, we all got tremendously sick, like all at the same time. There's only one bathroom. But my friends lived in the same neighborhood. So we're chit-chatting, and I'm like, my stomach's feeling weird. And I was like, guys, I have to go. I think you should go home. And everybody like stood up, and they're like, we have to go home now. Hannah never ate the cookies that she baked, so she was fine. But we were all on the toilet for like the next 48 hours. And I was like, it's because those eggs went bad.
That had to have been salmonella, right?
Yeah, probably. Not fun. And it's like, welcome to being my roommate. I'm going to be in the bathroom for the next 6 hours.
So I don't so much have like a bad food story. It's more of a how I control my weight, I guess you could say, story. So I used to be my whole life, my weight's been like 50 pounds, 70 pounds, 50 pounds, another, like I've always been a roller coaster. And then I finally, like no lie, I want to say maybe 7-8 years ago, if that, I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna buy certain foods, and I'm only gonna eat one meal a day, like one real meal, and I'll have like a protein shake that's made with frozen fruit, so that it's more like ice cream, and that's it, right? And like coffee, whatever. And so you need to see me in a grocery store, because basically I walk down the aisle and I'm like, oh God, carrot cake. No, I'll eat it. No. Okay. And then I like go down and I'm like, oh my God, pita chips. Those would be so good. No, I'll eat it because I won't just eat it. Like I'll eat like the bag, right? So that's me the whole time I'm going down all the aisles, to the grocery store. So then when I actually go out to eat, like with friends, that's when I'm still doing it. Although I allow myself to do, like last night I went out with some friends and we got guacamole. Oh yeah, my honey, I was all over that. And like I got a burger. I mean, it was like, and it came with onion rings that were like those melt in your mouth onion rings, right? If I got anything like that at home, it wouldn't last one meal. Like I would get like, but at least if I do it when I'm going out, then I'm like, I won't actually finish it because I'll feel guilty. So I'll leave some. But yeah, no, me grocery shopping. I mean, that's how when I go, if you looked at my grocery lists or my bags, it's all like fruits and vegetables and like non-fried foods and lean meats and stuff, because when I see stuff that I actually really want, it's like, no, cannot do that. No, moving on.
That thing that you have where you listen to yourself when you say no, I don't think I have that. I bought a whole chantilly cake last Friday, and I ate it.
This is why you go grocery shopping.
So
yeah.
Now, when we first moved here, there's a grocery store, like a neighborhood grocery store, Lee's Market on the corner. I was there so frequently, the guy knew me by name. They make homemade guacamole because what happens is the guys who run the meat market in it rent that space. And the owner of the rest of the market, he has all these avocados. When the avocados they're near going bad, he basically sells them to the meat market for something crazy like a penny. Yeah. Right? They then make the homemade guacamole. So when they see me coming, if they don't have the guac, I just let them know, like, hey, I'm here to get the guac. And they're like, all right, yeah. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And then I just come back the next day and they'll have like all these like boxes full of homemade guac, and they get carrot cake. Like they have a deal with a bakery that it's both like Mexican breads and like, yeah, and carrot cake. So I think he knows when I'm trashed because I'll go on Yelp. I'll order a slice of carrot cake and like the guacamole or something asinine like that. And they're like, yeah, no problem. And they bring it over and, leave it on my front door and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Grocery delivery has opened up a whole new world to me, and not always in a good way.
Oh, agreed.
You can get whole ass cakes shipped to your house, or like Publix subs. Yep. And like they're just reckless abandon and eating it all. Pita chips, and you just get it all.
This is so sad. I live like 2 blocks away from a McDonald's, and I still Uber Eats McDonald's like once a week.
Oh my God.
I have a Wendy's within walking distance that I have had delivered to me.
So, and I do Blaze Pizza. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's slightly healthier than McDonald's Wendy's.
I eat the whole thing.
Depends on my state of sobriety, but this is a story for another time, which is, what is your McDonald's order? Mine is very specific, and I treated myself last payday, which was last Friday, which is my usual thing. I'm like, I got paid today. I'm going to order some McDonald's. And it's the same order all the time. And they fucked it up so much. I was like so disappointed. I ate the whole thing. And I was mad.
What is it? What's your standard McDonald's order?
We all have to go around and share our shame if we're doing that.
Okay. No, that's fine.
So it's a double quarter pounder with cheese, with fries and a drink, although I don't drink soda, so I actually just throw the soda out. but it's cheaper to get the meal than to get everything independently. And then 6 to 10 chicken nuggets.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, with ranch dressing because Midwest.
Got it. So I actually don't do McDonald's. Blaze is basically every vegetable other than green peppers because they make me sick. And goat cheese and feta cheese.
I love feta cheese.
And I think it's what, slightly crispy or something like that. And then with balsamic and Frank's Red Hot sauce. And then, but my Wendy's used to be, because I haven't had Wendy's in ages, I used to get a burger because I'm lactose intolerant. And then their chili's actually kick-ass.
Their chili is so good.
Right? So you get the burger and then you cut it up and then you like dip it in the chili so that like you get the chili with the bread. And this is why I should not be allowed in any kind of fast food restaurant. Anyway. And then you also you got to get the Frosty. Their Frosties, at least they didn't used to be lactose. They were lactose free or whatever. Oh my God, their Frosties are to fucking die.
I have to force myself to get the smallest size one because they're too good, and I will definitely overeat.
And now my new thing is, when I lived on the East Coast, I used to go to Wawa all the time because they had all kinds of killer like snacks and stuff that you didn't feel like you were a piece of shit when you had it. But so here I go to 7-Eleven and I get a Slurpee, but you can get my Slurpee my 7-Eleven always runs out of the fat-free or the sugar-free. So I have to somehow time it right when they still have the sugar-free one ready. But when they do, my tushy, it's like so.
Alicia, what's your Wendy's order?
I don't want to say now. Okay, all right.
So healthy. I was like, wow.
Okay, so this is since 2020 because
I'm now gonna get carrot cake on Friday, right?
No. Okay, so you have to keep in mind, before 2020, I wasn't getting a whole lot of McDonald's, every once in a while, and I'd go nuts on some dollar menu.
What do you mean before 2020?
So 2020, I started quarantining and all that, so I got a lot of Uber Eats and DoorDash, and on Uber Eats, they sell bundles, and so I alternate between so in this bundle, you get either 2 cheeseburgers or 2 Big Macs, and it just depends on how I'm feeling. You get 2 of those, 2 small fries, 20 chicken nuggets.
Damn,
And so I'll alternate between those 2, and then I'll get 4. Okay, so normally it'll be 2 apple pies, but if they have the strawberries and cream pies, then I get 2 of those too. And also 70% of the time I have leftovers.
That's good. To me, my healthy move is throwing the soda away. Way to protect your body, T.
Yeah, I'll be I don't want a combo. I'm not gonna drink my calories. That would be ridiculous.
Right? Who cares, man? So that's so my go-to takeout fast food place was this place when we first moved in this neighborhood called Lucy's, which is a Mexican stand. It's like a drive-through, but it reminds me of the old school Happy Days kind of drive-throughs, And so I was thinking I was being all healthy because I would get the plantains with refried beans and rice, So I'm like, yeah, I'm, awesome. Okay, so there was one day I ate like half of it, put it in the fridge. The next day I took it out. Oh my God. It was just like this thick layer of fat. And I was like, so that's why it tastes so good. Oh, okay.
Anything's good if you put enough lard in it.
Right?
Basically.
Oh my God. I haven't been back since, but goddamn, that shit it was freaking awesome.
The last time I ordered McDonald's, I was watching that Netflix documentary, How to Live to Be 100, those blue zones. They're talking about how healthy everyone's lives are. And I was like, this is so
Why are
fascinating.
you
Hold
doing
on, pause. Let me order some McDonald's so I can continue watching.
Hey, God, I'm hungry.
Right? Look, I love super easy. I'm like, yo, what you got? Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I turned 40 this week. We'll see how long this lasts. Woo! Yeah. It's been a rough go. But okay, yeah. So our prompt for the night is boundaries. I haven't settled on which story. I feel like I'm in between two.
Boundaries, any kind of boundaries.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You got one?
He is gonna kill me. Woo! All right, hold on. Okay. So long ago and far away, when I was a teenager, so like last year, whatever. So I was on this reality TV show. I was actually on two, technically speaking, but one of them was regional and one of them was global. So one was Dance Party USA and one was Dancing on Air. And I was what was called a regular, which just means my tushy showed up every day. That's all. It's like whatever. So, and they did stuff like, let's do a spotlight in her bedroom, right? And not that anyone cares, but like full reveal when they did mine. So my like brand was all about like metal and like rock and all this kind of stuff. So although my bedroom, because I actually had an art major, I had painted my bedroom walls. Like I actually did like flowers and all this kind of stuff to stay in brand with the brand of rock and metal and everything. I took my rock and roll magazines and I took the pictures of like different, hot guys, and I just plastered it over top of all the painting that I had done on my walls. And then they came through and they were like, and this is Lisa Kastner's room and, whatever. And I had to talk about shit. I don't know, whatever. Who cares? So anyway, what would happen is we would record on weekends. So we usually recorded on Saturdays and Sundays, sometimes on a Friday. And it was like one after another, right? So usually we would get in, I want to say 3 to 4 shows in a weekend. Now, mind you, a show was technically speaking an hour, but that includes commercials. So it's probably more like 45 minutes, right? But like you'd have to, retape segments. They're called segments. Stuff like that, right?
The lingo.
It's the lingo, right? And then we'd have like an hour for lunch, blah, 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 whatever. So actually I have 2 hilarious stories around this, but anyway, we'll stick to this one. So what would happen is we would end usually around 5, 6 o'clock at night. And sometimes what would happen is we would all get together at somebody's place and just like hang out and chill out and like, act stupid, whatever. Well, sometimes alcohol was involved. Now, mind you, technically speaking, this is illegal because we were all underage. Well, not all of us. A good portion of us were underage. So this one night, I don't even remember whose place we were at. We were at someone's house, and we were drinking and playing Spin the Bottle, right? So we're playing Spin the Bottle, and it points, the guy who spun it, it pointed at me, and I was like, okay. Now, mind you, I will not name this gentleman, but he is now married to the woman I'm about to reference. So it was blatantly obvious he was desperately in love with her, right? And I don't think she had any fucking clue. And they were like best of friends, right? So they always danced together. They always hung out together, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm sitting there and I had a couple of shots in, and I'm thinking, I wonder how this is going to play out. Like, is she going to realize she's in love with him, or is this like, okay. So I forget. It was one of those ask a question or you go in the closet kind of thing, right? Anyway, we end up in the closet, and he's like so trashed. He's talking about how I know. So, we're going to and then she's going to realize she's in love with me. Like, he's saying this to me. And then, finally we'll be together and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you do understand you're telling me this, right? That's not the smartest play right now. But okay. So he goes to, and I went, so if your hand moves that zipper down, guess what door is going to suddenly be open? And he was like, you would not do that. And I was like, you want to? You know where I'm from, right? You understand, where I grew up, where I grew up then. But yeah, let's just say I grew up in a neighborhood. I challenge people to Google Camden, East Camden, New Jersey, and especially South Camden, and you will have a better understanding of the area in which I grew up. So the guy was like, you wouldn't do that. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So he literally went for it. And just as you could hear the zzz, I was like, and I have never seen a hand move so fast for him to close up his zipper. I was like, good job. Yay, you're alive. Hot shit. So
there wasn't a there's something about Mary moment where things would get stuck in there.
Oh, now that would have been fabulous, but no. So and then I don't think he actually remembered that, because the next day we had taping on Saturday and Sunday. The next day on Sunday, when we had taping, he didn't say anything. He didn't raise anything. He just basically stuck to her the whole time. And he was like, hey, and that was it. So yeah, that's my one of my bigger boundaries moments. Yeah.
That is a good one. See, this is my thing. Is I'm like, is it a story about when I had to reinforce my boundaries, or when I let go of boundaries?
Ooh, do let go of boundaries. That would be fabulous.
Yeah, that's more fun. No one wants to hear you making good choices and setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah, I've stepped all over so many boundaries though. So I'm like, if it's gonna be fuck the boundaries, and I'm like, which boundary?
Oh. Okay. Sorry, I had to plug my laptop back in. If you stepped on boundaries, do that one. That's fun.
Okay.
As long as it's not, well, I don't give a shit. I was gonna say, as long as it's not illegal, but have fun.
Do you have a story, Alicia, or should I go?
You should go.
Okay. So I was gonna. Okay. So yeah. This is, I guess, how I learned a boundary. And I guess this starts really, really young. So in first grade, there was this like big miscommunication. My mom was a single mom, worked 2 jobs, and she called the school to tell them to tell me that I was supposed to take the bus home, but whoever it was in the office forgot, and I was stranded at school until like very, very late. I'm in first grade. I'm like crying and lost, and I'm trying to walk home. And this guy pulls up in his car and he's like, "You look lost." Like, and I was like, and he was like, "Do you know where your house is?" I was like, "I do. I don't know how to get there." And he's like, "Get in my car." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." And it felt weird. It felt wrong, but I still did it anyway. And my mom was like, this is before cell phones. So she was losing her mind. She's like, "Where's my child? My child's been lost for forever." And some like creepy old white man pulls up to the house and he's like, "Your kid's safe." And my mom almost killed that man. But you think I would have learned not to get into strangers' cars, because specifically like the next day at school, we had a whole thing about how you're not supposed to get into strangers' cars. But I have continually gotten into strangers' cars until I was like 28 years old.
Wow. Wait. You don't now?
I don't now. And I finally had a moment where I was like, you know what? This is the end. But it happened in Florida, like my 19 and 20s years, and you're like, and most of the time it's like, I'm just walking around minding my business and a car will slow down and like, and it's always a guy. Well, no. Sometimes it's women. But it's usually a guy and they're like, "Hey, get in the car." And I'm like, okay.
Oh my God, I love you so
I'll
much.
just get this car. And I mean, like 9 times out of 10, sex happens. So like, cool.
Wait, back up. So what? 9 times out of 10?
9 times out of 10, it's sex, especially
Really?
with a guy.
Damn, man.
Yeah, where they're like, "I'm lost. I'm looking for my hotel. I'm visiting from out of town on business."
And you're like, "Oh, you poor thing.
You poor thing. But I definitely know how to get to the Omni. They know me at the front counter. Like, let's just not make eye contact. That's fine.
Like some of your stories always sound like the plot line of like a porno or a clip on like Pornhub.
I fucking
I'm
love
like,
it.
how is this real life?
It is definitely real life. So Austin, Texas is actually where I got in cars with strangers the most and where I decided to stop. So I was working at a grocery store called HEB, and you have to wear like their uniform is like this red polos that have HEB written on it. And I was walking to work, my first day of work, my shift started at 6 a.m. And it's kind of a long walk because Texas is not made for walking, it's made for cars. And so I'm going, I'm doing the thing. And this SUV slows down and the window rolls down. It's a woman. She's also wearing a red polo shirt. And she's like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to HEB." And she's like, "Oh, that one right up there. Get in." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And because I think she's a coworker, because I think we're wearing the same uniform. So we get into HEB. She parks way in the back of the parking lot, like not close to the doors. And I was like, "Oh, like, you can park over where the employees park." And she's like, "I'm not an employee." She is a trans sex worker and begins to explain what she does and how much it costs. And I'm like,
holy shit.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm like, "I'm sorry, I thought we were co-workers." And she's like, "You do this work too?" And I'm like, "I do not do this work."
Oh my God, that is awesome.
And I was like,
"I'm sorry. Maybe I should."
I'm not have sex with you.
Like, how much do you make?
Yeah. I mean, I did later interview her for a short story that I did write about a sex worker, because she also lived in my neighborhood. I would continue to see her often when I would walk to and from work. And I'm like, "Can you really pick up clients at like 6 a.m. on like a Monday?"
Right?
And she's like, "You'd be surprised." And I was like, "Okay."
I don't know. Maybe because like I've been in areas where there were people, their tushies were out. I mean, at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and it was clear what they were after.
You never just like wake up early feeling,
Well, yeah,
you know?
like, yo, sex worker, let's bring it. Woo!
No, I'm just saying, like, you never wake up like randomly, just like, I'm feeling naughty right now. Like, you don't ever wake up being like, where's my vibrator? And it's like 7:30 in the morning.
So I'm
Yes,
one of the blessed that thankfully I have typically others who will assist me in those endeavors because they are also quite randy.
Good for you.
Good for you. I'm
Okay, but some people don't, and that's where the early bird sex workers come in.
Shut up, because no.
But like, and this wasn't even like this woman, I'll call her Maria because I forget her name. She was wearing a red polo shirt and jeans, right? And I'm like, and you're a sex worker who are picking up Johns from your car at like 6 a.m. To me, that was mind blowing. But I didn't learn my lesson.
Now, wait, the question is, did you?
No. Also, I had to be at work, and also like, I mean,
messy.
not really my type. Like, I am gay, and I do enjoy the penis, but this is a trans woman, so like all the other parts of it, I was like, this isn't really my thing. I still had to pay her $5 for the ride, and I was like, that's kind of
no,
rude.
that's not. I'm shocked she did. Well, I'm not shocked she did that, but that's not right. She should.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I understand why, but I don't really agree with it. And I was like, also, like, this is literally my fucking fault because I just jumped into a car with a random stranger that I didn't know, and this is what happens when you do that. So the last time I got into a car with a stranger, it was also in Austin. I was walking to the gay bar. Like I said, Austin's not very walkable friendly. And I was like trying to light my cigarette, but my lighter was going dead. And this car honks a little bit and the window rolls down and it's a woman. And she's like, do you need a light? And I was like, I totally need a light. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, get in. Where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm just going to the bar. But something seems weird about her. Like, I don't think she's a sex worker, but I don't think she's all there. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to the bar. Like, thank you for the light. And she's like, I can drop you off at whatever bar you're going to. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, you can smoke in my car. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll get in your car. How I did not get kidnapped as a child, I have no idea. Because it does not take
technically much. Speaking, you may have, but you're too she got out of it. That's
yeah. So then she drops me off at the gay bar and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is kind of funny and weird, but like I got a ride to the bar, like me talking to the bartender. And I was like, yeah, like I just got in this lady's car and she like totally dropped me off and like, but she seemed a little weird. And the bartender was like, you just got into a stranger's car? And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm gay. I get in strangers' cars. And he's like, I'm gay too. I don't get in cars.
I don't think the two are related.
Yeah, right. They're not related, love. Nope.
And so, like, I got shamed. This is how I was able to create this boundary. It was because of shame.
Okay.
So, well, but then,
like, thank God he created that boundary for you, right?
Yeah. 30 minutes later, that woman comes into the bar. Her makeup is running. She had been crying, and she's looking for me. And she finds me, and she goes straight towards me. And she's like, "I just need you to read this text message. It's from some guy. It's like 9 pages long on her phone.
Oh my God!
That he's basically breaking up with her because she's crazy." And she's like distraught and crying, and she's like, I just need someone to talk to. You're the only friend in the world that I have. And I was like, you were the stranger whose car I got into. Like, we have different interpretations of our relationship right now. But she offers to buy all of my drinks, so I have to sit there and listen to her debrief this entire relationship. And as dramatic as it was, and all these twists and turns, and I'm like, how long was this? How long have you guys been together? Like 3-4 years? And she's like 6 weeks. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of
My
blood.
God.
6 weeks.
6 weeks is real? Holy shit. Like, that's like,
she was a whole other person. And like everybody at the bar is like not wanting her vibes or her energy. And I'm like stuck with her. And she's like continuing to cry the whole night. And there were, because I'm gay and I'm awful, there were some pretty cute guys there that night that I would have liked to talk to, but I could not talk to because I was stuck with this woman because I got in her car because I get in cars with strangers. And I was like, you know what? I'm never doing this again.
But it helped you create boundaries. So that, yeah.
Yeah. And to this day, I'm about to turn 40. So what is that? It's been over 10 years since wait, let me.
The only time I ever hopped in a stranger's car, I was with you.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the back because it all happened so fast because we were fleeing from law enforcement.
All
and
right,
I remember sitting in the back. It was wild.
Tell that story. Tell that story.
Okay. For a more in-depth look, please check out my memoir.
Well, that's true, but yes.
Okay. So this was post Halloween party. It was like November 3rd. It was I had just transferred to Georgia Southern. He was one of my very first friends I met at a creative writing group.
Yep.
With my shitty poetry. And so that I was trying to be more straight-laced this time around. At least I went in with that intention because I did so poorly in college my first year and a half. And so I was like, I'm going to be studious. And I was. My grades were much better.
Okay.
But for whatever reason at Georgia Southern, Halloween starts early and it keeps going. So, I mean, that was probably our fourth or fifth party that week.
Yeah.
I love Halloween, by the way.
And I didn't even, so it was like November 3rd. It was someone's birthday, but it was still like a Halloween party. And Tihi's like, you want to go? And I'm like, again? I'm feeling a little bit strung out at this point. And like, it was like, 3 days before that I had slept with this guy who then left my room and went back to his girlfriend immediately after. Yeah. Yup.
Yeah.
Gross, right? So I'm like, oh, I hate it, and I hate men, and this is awful. I was like, okay, we'll get wasted one more time. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we go.
Might find someone else who's worth like a rebound. Like, who cares?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, but no guys tonight. Guys are terrible. So we get to this Halloween party.
Grab some beer. But I can still hear you.
So we go to this party. I'm wearing a leather cowboy hat that was given to me, and I thought when I moved to the South that cowboy hats were a thing, but I think that's just a Texas thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I owned the hat. I had that. I had like a little bustier thing on, and I knotted a button-up shirt, and I had like the denim bikini bottoms on, or they were shorts with the fishnets.
You do realize at some point you need to provide pictures if you have them.
I have looked and looked. Unless Tihi has some, I feel like they might have been scrubbed from the internet.
I think they've been scrubbed from the internet by now.
Yeah, because I've looked. There used to be so many. But yeah, so I'm decked out in like typical like college girl bloody Halloween, and we go to this guy's party. I don't know the birthday boy, and I was like, hey, and we get there, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go find the keg. Like, I'm not here to socialize. Because like at that point, I'm just looking for some hair of the dog. Like, I had been drunk for a week straight. So I'm out on the balcony, like I go get my beer, and then I'm just like, I'm gonna park it on this balcony and just smoke and drink all their alcohol, and it's gonna be a good night.
There you go.
And Then this guy dressed like a woman who looks like Christina Aguilera from like the Dirty era.
Supposedly looks like
Supposedly. Well, I think that's what he was going for.
It's what he was going for. I did not.
And honestly, he looked better in that tube top than I ever will. So this fellow is going around the party like making out with people, and then I just start making out there. I'll do anything with a cheering section. So like we've got some of our girlfriends there, and then someone's like, "You should make out." And she's like, "Yeah, make out with me," and they're like, "Do it." And I'm like, "Okay, do that." Then I'm making out with another girl, and then the guy dressed as Christina Aguilera comes up, and I was like, no, guys. And the girl next to me that I just made out with was like, "No, it's a girl tonight." And I was like, "Okay." So then I'm making out with both of them at the same time.
Okay.
And so then I just kind of scurry away and like we go about our business. At a certain point, someone's like, "Cops!" And so we just fucking bail. Like we all just start running. Like we're climbing down stairwells, but like not using the stairs normally. We're just like running through woods. And all of a sudden this car just kind of slowly creeps up alongside us. And T just grabs me. He's like, "Get in."
Really?
And I'm in the back of this car, like, I don't know what just happened. And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, I'm praying. I don't even believe in any. I am praying. I'm like, "I promise I'll be more responsible if you just get me through this." And like, we got to a destination. So I've now been allowed to be, like, without much fight, I'm allowing these strangers to take me to a second location. And it's there that I learned that Teehee knew who this was. But I didn't have any of that information for the duration of the drive.
By the way, he's classic for that. Like, Teehee, like, you'll be somewhere and there'll be like some drama, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he'll be like, "Oh yeah, by the way." And you're like, "What the fuck, man? Like, how the fuck did that come up?"
This information would have been so crucial to me 10 minutes ago when I thought I was going to die. Because when I play the memory in my head, like, that car never even stopped moving. Like, we just hopped into a slowly moving vehicle and fucking left. And so we hid out there, but then, like, we came back to the apartment after the cops had cleared out and went back to the keg.
Yep.
Where I reconnected with the gentleman in drag who is now the father of my children.
Wait. Really? That is awesome.
We've been married. We just hit 14 years married.
Oh my God. That's
Yep.
fucking fabulous.
That is the father of my child.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Jordan was wild.
And he performed he married us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I officiated.
That week was just
pictures of that.
That week was a fever dream. Like, I'm being taken away by strangers, then we're going back to the scene of the crime because free beer.
Yeah.
Bad choices all around.
You know, I still stand by him.
I'm right there, man.
I regret nothing.
So, like, my wedding literally, I got a job offer to move to California, and my then boyfriend, now husband, I was like, "All right, I'll move if you move," right? And he was like, "All right, let me think about it." Literally 24 hours later, he's like, "All right, let's do it." So I was like, "Okay." So then we moved to California. Every single person we meet, he's like, "Hi, I'm Bobby Williams. I'm Lisa's fiance. We're getting married." "Hi, I'm Bobby Williams. Lisa's fiance. We're getting married." And I was like, "What am I? Like, Justin Bieber? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, how is it? Why is this like a thing?" Like, it was hilarious. So and I'm like, yes, we are. We're getting married. I don't know why this is an introductory thing, but yeah, sure. Okay, fine. So then my one friend, well, not my one friend, but one of my friends, Risa, I was like, all right, would you officiate our wedding? And we got married. The woman who recruited me to come out to California, we got married in her backyard.
Oh.
And it was some kind of ridiculous, like, you'll, whatever, blah, 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 blah. There was something about dogs in it. I don't know. It was just something absolutely ridiculous, right? Where I was like, okay, fine. Because I told her, I said, look, I mean, in the United States of America, it's really, unless you're religious, it's about the piece of paper. So you can make shit up. I don't care, right? Just don't make it obscene, because then he'll get upset, and I don't want to be upset, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Alicia's wedding vows was a Pablo Neruda sonnet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just let him do whatever he wanted. I was a very chill bride.
The chillest bride I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my entire life. Alicia catered her own wedding, like the day of her wedding.
Oh, hells no. I forget who catered our wedding, but I just invited like all of our friends, not just in the area, but like friends who like I used to hang out with and all that, like all the time. And a bunch of my friends used it as an excuse to come out to California to then like go and like do all like the tours and shit. And I was like, do it. Like, you need to have a blast, but yeah, no, it was, I forget. I think it was like some taco joint or something. I was like, yo, here, go. And oh my God, but it was so fun. And they, the margaritas were fucking killer, just saying. But yeah. So I see that we had the same sort of mentality.
We had a cocktail hour where we
Yes.
stood on my father-in-law's front porch and smoked and drank before the ceremony.
Yep.
Which I told Chris 2 drinks max. That didn't happen. He awkwardly like shoved his tongue in my mouth when it was time to like kiss the bride. You can see it on like the video. It's very awkward. And like he's all glassy-eyed, being like mouthing it, and like it's sweet, but also like this is why I said 2 drink max prior, because now like you're marrying me and you are not of sound mind. Like this, not good.
I don't think the 2 drink max rule applied to me, but I also don't remember sticking to it. So
I think I really just did it for me and the group, because I was like, no, we're making like a legally binding, we are legally joining forces. Like, we should be of sound mind. Like, you should still be able to get in a car when I walk down the aisle.
So so I have a dear friend who back in the East Coast, and she got which one is this? I used to run this writers community in Philadelphia, and while like we were still like in existence, a few of the people that were in the writers community got married, and they invited me to the wedding. And at the time, I just kind of dated whoever the fuck I wanted to. Like, I was just like, whatever. Anyway, for one of them, I want to say it was for, I'm not going to name names, but like his wedding. It was like this buffet style. And so I brought, the guy I was dating at the time. And let's just say we made sure the bathroom was, and maybe not just once. And I don't think anybody observed the 2 drink minimum from what I remember. I do remember he came to me and said, I do realize that technically speaking, there's only like one of you, but this is a buffet style, so who cares? And I was like, yes.
If that means what I think that means. Okay.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was much more gregarious. Well, I'm not that I'm not gregarious now, but I mean, I'm married, so it's not like I'm going to be running around being like, hey.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm.
I've never been married, but so my
You could
sister's,
be.
huh?
You could be.
I mean, somebody literally wants to marry me right now, and
And
maybe it's time for that story. I went on a first date with this guy recently, this Brazilian guy, and after the date, I spent the night at his house because I put out on the first date as a policy, like
really?
yeah, yeah.
I have the reverse. But go ahead.
Let's get it out of the way and make sure we're a match. So he
Actually, that's
texts
really
me
smart. Yeah.
after the first date, and he's like, "I don't think we should date anymore because I think I'm falling in love with you." And I'm like, "Wow, like, we spent 12 to 18 hours together. Like 8 of those hours we were sleeping. Like."
Wow.
We didn't spend that. You don't really know me, but that's fine. And I was like, okay, cool. We don't need to date. Also, this is a really crazy red flag. He's on sabbatical from his job, so he's here for a whole year in Puerto Vallarta. And he's like, let's be friends. And I'm like, yeah, let's totally be friends, except for every time we go out and drink as friends. And he gets drunk, and he's like, Teehee, I think I'm in love with you. Like, in a year from now, we're going to be married. He has twice given me a ring while we're sitting at a bar drinking. And I'm just like chit chatting, and he like takes a ring off of his finger and tries to put it on my finger. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot, man. Like,
God, I didn't invite him to my birthday party. Shh, don't tell anyone.
I won't.
Just say live on the internet. It's fine.
Can you imagine like being so into someone that you keep trying to give them a ring and they don't even like you enough to invite you to their birthday party?
So I have dated guys who like gave me a ring and I was like, so you do understand this doesn't make sense, right? Like it just, and then I leave it there. So I don't continuously interact with them so that they get led on and feel like, oh.
I'm trying not to. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna take the ring. Like he also is lately in this whole like in a different dimension. We're already married, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about interdimensional metaphysics and like all of this because I'm a nerd and I can like nerd out to the point where like you're no longer aroused anymore. Like, let's just really dive into parallel dimensions.
Yeah.
And then it makes him sad and he goes home, and I'm like,
See, like I'm making this face now, but like back when I met my husband, I was so fucking clingy that something like that, I would be like, he's so into me already. He's already talking about making me his wife. Like
yeah.
it's so weird how your boundaries change as you get older. Like I
Yeah.
was so fucking clingy, and now like he goes away every other week for work, and like he might be up for a job there, and I'm like, do we really have to move? Like, can't you just come home on weekends or something? Like this, he used to go to training for 2 weeks, and I would cry. But now I'm like, oh, can't you just move there and just come visit?
It's hilarious. We're the exact opposite. So my now husband and I, right? When we first got together, like he's a musician and he'll tour for like months and months and months. But when he tours, he's not touring in like, Utah. No. He's touring in like these most random remote locations in Europe and like Asia where there is no cell phone reception. Right? But like so it was funny because when we first, so we moved to California, blah blah blah. He got this gig. At one point, he was the cultural ambassador to Kazakhstan. Like, no shit, right?
I have a friend who was a cultural attaché in Kazakhstan a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he was the cultural ambassador to Kazakhstan. He was there for, I want to say, like 6 months or something like that. Came back, whatever. At one point, he was the cultural ambassador to Germany. Anyway, so when he's away, I'm so used to just like being on my own. Like, it's not a thing because we talk every day anyway. Like, we text every day anyway. It doesn't, whatever. But I remember when it hit me what it meant for him to be a cultural ambassador to Kazakhstan. I was like, Jesus Christ, you're important. Like, wow, this is like a huge thing. And I remember when he realized this was like a really big thing. And the same thing with Germany, when he got the offer for him to be the cultural ambassador to Germany. Like, at first he told the federal government, yeah, I don't want to do this because I want to hang out with my wife. You all can kiss off, right? And they were like, well, what would get you to like not turn us down? And he was like, well, I need a gig that I can actually come home like on a regular basis, because Kazakhstan is like, yeah. They were like, yeah, whatever. 2 hours later, they called back. Okay, we got you Germany. And he was like, wait, what? Okay, how about I do that for like 3 months? He gets there and he finds out the US has cultural ambassadors to Germany. There's like a half dozen of them, including like former members of, like, let's just say very, 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 very influential bands from the 80s, 90s, and thousands. So he realizes this and he's like, oh my God, how did my ass get here? Which, this is not a diss on my husband. It's just that he's always been more alternative than mainstream. That's why, he was like, what the hell? But yeah, he gets to Germany and he's like, oh my God, like, this is for real. I'm alongside some icons and I don't know how I got there, but okay.
I want to be a cultural ambassador to a different country, preferably Mexico, because I'm already here.
Yeah. That's too much pressure, and I don't give a good first impression.
Oh my God, I love you.
I mean, like, we were just talking about this at the gym last week. I was like, do you know how I make friends? I forced proximity. Like, all my friends are at my gym because we are forced to be in the same class for an hour. Like, you know how I make friends? I walk up to someone and just kind of stand there until they have to talk to me. Like, that's okay. The extent of my social skills.
So I am a hardcore introvert. So I force myself to be an extrovert. And I have a dear friend who has this hilarious story about when we first met, because she is this like gorgeous Brit and we both went to this class, right? This is, oh my God, I don't even know how long ago. And from her perspective, she was like, oh my God, this amazing person who met me and we just hung out the whole time and just like got trashed and we've been friends ever since, blah, blah, blah. My perspective, I saw her and I was like, holy shit, she is the most amazing and stunning person I've ever seen. Instead of me like like folding back into myself and hiding in my room, I'm going to force myself to talk to her. So I like sat at the table she was at and I was like, hey, I'm Lisa, boom. And it's like, honestly, like since the minute we started talking, we've been like sisters ever since.
Oh.
So, but like that, like I had to teach myself that whenever I see someone that I'm like intimidated by, I need to like say, I'm intimidated because they're fabulous, which is true. So let me just go up and like just hang out with them and like introduce myself and all that. So
as an extrovert, I have no idea how I make friends. Because I talk to everybody, and there's
You really do. You really do.
Talk to everybody, and then like certain people after a conversation, you're like, nah, maybe not that one. And then other people, you're like, oh, I really vibe with this person. So it's like, yeah, that's how I make friends. I talk to everybody. Literally everybody. I get in cars with strangers.
But like you and me, forced proximity. We were in the same club, but you did approach me to tell me that you enjoyed my poem. So I think a lot of it has to do with like, don't be afraid to lie to people either. Like, tell them what they want to hear.
Right.
There is no way you liked that. I called myself fast food scribe as a barista at Starbucks. There's no.
I know, right?
That's fabulous.
I have a very thin like resistance on like writing that I don't like. I don't care if this guy who says he's in love with me sees this online, but he often wants to share his poetry that he writes with me. And granted, English is his third language, but these poems are not good. And I won't say they're bad, but I will like give suggestions for like how to like think about the craft of writing poetry. Like what was it, 2 nights ago, he showed me this poem and I read it. And I was like, there was this poet who had this quote that said like, a poem is a nation of images. And he was like, wow, that's so deep. And I was like, yeah, how many images were in your poem? Maybe just think about that. I'm such a fucking asshole.
And I'm sure he was like, I don't know what he just said, so I'm just
he was like, going. I'm not sure that we're gonna get married in a year. And I was like, good.
That's it. The wedding is off.
Oh, darn.
Oh, baby, no. Don't say that.
Stop. No, don't.
Stop. Wait. Come back.
This is why I'm perpetually single, though.
Yeah. I mean, I love and adore you, but I'm not a gay man, so.
I'm not for everybody. If I find the right person, then that's great. It's probably not going to be somebody who's ready to get married after one date.
I think what'll probably happen is like, there'll be someone that you're like with, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, wait a minute, I actually want to like be with you more than like 5 minutes. And
I really think that that's what's going to happen. Like, you're just going to meet someone one day and like, they just won't go away. And then you'll wake up one day and be like, fuck, we've been together like a really long time.
Yeah, 100%. Seriously. And then you'll be like, you know what? Maybe we should actually get married because we've been together like 20 years. Yeah.
That would be, I mean, I think it's sweet when people who are like 60 plus get married. Like, I think that's adorable. I'm like, oh.
But think about it. Like, that's not even such a big gamble. Like, you're going to be dead soon. Like, how much are you really investing?
Well, wait. So now, though, like 60, most people are.
Well, I know. No, that's true.
70s or 80s now.
60 is the new 40.
That's true.
Seriously. 60.
But like, if you're getting married, like, all right, say you're getting married like mid-70s, you're in your 80s, it's like, okay, yeah, but like, till death do us part, is that really such a big commitment at this point? Like,
I'm sure I'm gonna die in my late 80s.
Like, and it's like, you're probably gonna die early on. Do you really think like if you had lived longer that would have lasted? Come on.
Yeah. Also, it's weird as a millennial, every time we hit these age milestones, people are like, oh, well, like 40 is the new 30. And I'm like, bitch, like when I turned 30, you said it was the new 20. Like, when do I get to
Right?
actually be my age? And now they're like, like 40 is the new 60. I'm like, 60? I have to make it to 60? I'm tired.
Oh my God. Wait. So I have a dear friend who is 65, and she let me know that her doctor was like, here's the deal. If you can make it to 50 and make it through 50, you're probably going to make it to minimally 90. So in terms of statistics, if you can make it to, most people will make it to 50. And then, yeah.
And then through the decade of the 50s.
Yep. Like somehow that decade of the 50s is like you're going to die, or somehow you're like, you'll be here forever. Like, it's so fucking weird. And those stats, I mean, I just think the stats are fascinating, but I was like, all right. So like every birthday I have, she's like, all right, we're getting our party on, because
10 years from
Fingers
now.
crossed, friend. Happy birthday.
Exactly.
Right?
I got 10 years to get all this partying out so I can be somewhat okay to make it to, yeah. That's what I'm hearing. Oh.
Just do like a crawl of like all your medical screenings. Just like...
Oh,
I
for
need
real?
to get one of those soon.
Like, I had annuals on a regular basis until I went to this one doctor who, like, his advice made no fucking sense. Like, I was like, dude, what are you even talking about? That's my house. I'm getting my roof replaced. Don't even ask. It's a thing. We can talk about it next time. So, but yeah, like I was like, I think I'm going through menopause. He was like, okay, so when's the last time you had your period? I'm like, I've had it like once a year for the last like 3 years. He's like, yeah, that's not menopause. I'm like,
no,
what?
You have to go long. You have to hit your year mark. They won't count it. Yeah.
What do you think that is? So then I finally find a doctor who actually understands menopause, and he's like, yeah, no, you should probably start getting treatments now, because I'm sure you're experiencing this, and this. And I was like, holy shit, yes, you're spot on. And he was like, yeah, that's menopause. I'm like, So, yeah, annuals are kind of bullshit unless you've got someone who they're doing.
That bitch told me I was on the farewell tour, and I've been in it this whole time.
Right? Wait, I just wish I was on the farewell tour, because, man, when you wake up at like 2 a.m. and your whole body is on fire,
does not sound fun.
And you can't remember the last 20 days. Nope.
So my last health insurance interaction, and then we should probably wrap this up, but like, so I went to a work conference in Pittsburgh in the middle of the pandemic, and they were giving the Mpox vaccine out to different people. And I was like, I want the Mpox vaccine because Mexico doesn't have it. And we were having Mpox cases in Puerto Vallarta because it's very gay down here. And so I was like, give me the shot. So I had to go to this gay male clinic, and they were like, you're not eligible because you don't live in Pennsylvania. And I was like, I live in Puerto Vallarta, and we were having outbreaks of Mpox. And they're like, wait, because like Puerto Vallarta is now like a code for like all gay people pretty much. And they're like, you live in Puerto Vallarta and you're not vaccinated against Mpox. Yes, we will make an exception for you. So that means they also have to test for everything. So I'm like, yeah, sure, test me for everything. Like, I'm really confident that I don't have any STDs or AIDS or anything like that. Like, I use condoms. Why did this come back positive for syphilis? And like, I've been Puerto Vallarta later, and I get a call, and they're like, yeah, so you have syphilis? And I was like, wow. Really?
Oh, you poor thing.
And I was like, I don't feel any different. They were like, well, you got it early because like you will eventually feel it if you don't get treated.
Wow.
So I had to go to the gay male clinic down here for 300 pesos, which is about $15 a pop for 3 weeks in a row to get 2 shots in my butt. And then I don't have syphilis anymore.
All right.
And I run into that doctor on the street all the time, and I just think like, that dude saw my ass a lot for
Right.
3 weeks in a row.
And with that, we will wrap this up. So I want to thank yet again Teehee and Alicia, because this was phenomenal. I mean, I think we're hilarious. Y'all can be like, I don't care. But we will.
We're not for everyone.
We are not for everyone. We own that. We own it. But we will be back this time next month. Don't miss it. If you are watching this, it's a recording. It's all good. Just go ahead and if you've got questions, put your questions in the comment section, or just wait for the next time, because we're pretty damn killer. So with that, all right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.